are listening to the Minding Mind podcast, where we live life with ease, connection, and permission to just be. I'm your host, Evelyn LeVasseur, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I am covering a topic that I feel like is something we all are doing, whether we are aware of it or not. Either we're participating in breaking a cycle or we are participating in repeating a cycle. But today I'm going to talk about breaking cycles with my daughters, and I cannot wait to get into this. So I want to start by saying that there are so many things that I learned in my life that are great, that are beautiful, that help me stay strong. And I need you all to acknowledge that just because you choose to do something differently than your parents did doesn't mean you're not grateful for the way that they loved you. I think sometimes we get stuck feeling like, if I'm complaining about something that my parents did, or I'm trying to do something differently, then I am showing disrespect to them and their efforts. And I think it's super important to recognize that however you decide to live your life, two things can be true at the same time. I am incredibly grateful for my parents being who they were, for my parents doing everything that they could to show me love in the best way they knew how. I was very loved. I am very loved. And also, some of the things that they did hurt me. Some of the things that they did didn't make me feel strong. It actually did the opposite. Was it intentional? No, but it's still true, right? So both things could be true. I am grateful. I am loved. And also, I'm working to unlearn some shit that hurt. So, in doing so, I get to unlearn it for myself and teach it differently to my daughters. And again, I'm going to make mistakes. I love my girls. I do everything that I can to make them feel strong and self-accepting and self-loving. And I'm still going to get some things wrong. I'm going to make mistakes. I am human. I am learning. I am growing. I'm not perfect. So I have to embrace the fact that it's not my job to raise them perfectly. It's my job to raise them resiliently, to show them that no matter what they go through, they can be okay, to show them that even when I make mistakes, it's their right to choose how to move forward, right? So they have the same and experience as me. They know they are loved, and if I do something that hurts them or hinders their growth, it is their right to embrace it, acknowledge it, and change it for themselves and potentially their kids. That's what growth is all about, right? You learn, you open your eyes, you see things, you recognize they didn't serve you, and you either repeat it because you're unaware or you do something different because now you're aware. So, one of the very first things that I do, and I feel like I started making this decision openly for them when they were little. I do not force that message of you need to cover your bodies because people might judge you. You need to cover your bodies because you don't want people thinking that, whatever, it's sexual. All the reasons that we were given for why a woman needs to be covered all the time, I make it very clear to them that they are not responsible for other people's opinions or reactions. If someone looks at their outfit and doesn't like it, that's their issue. Listen, and I get it. People are afraid. There are adults that look at children and are attracted to them. Covering their bodies up is not going to change the attraction. The person who's looking at a child and feeling excited by them is the problem. The child is not the problem. The woman is not the problem. If that were true, only women who were not covered would be the only ones who ever experienced disrespect. Only women who were showing their bodies would be the only ones who ever had a problem with a man in life. But the truth is that I've been disrespected in sweatpants. I've been disrespected in hoodies. My clothing does not dictate how another person treats me. Their clothing, my daughter's clothing, does not dictate how they will be treated or how they will be received by other people. I also warn them, people might make comments. People might say negative things. Men may look at you and say something sexual. The next step is yours. Stand up for yourself. Let him know he's gross. Do what it is to make yourself feel comfortable, feel safe in your body, but also fully recognize that it is your choice, right? Obviously, age appropriate things, but I remember being younger and being told that like crop top shirts were slutty and shorts that came above like mid thigh were sexual and gross. And that taught me that it was my job to make sure other people looked at me and thought good things and thought positive things. I'm not making my daughters responsible for other people's thoughts and feelings. We literally all have control of ourselves. Show some damn control and mind your business. You're going to hear a theme here of minding your business. Another thing that I do not do is spend our entire Saturday cleaning. Listen, I used to wake up on Saturday morning. There might be some music going, but it was like, let's go. Get out of bed. It's time. Evelyn, you're doing the bathrooms, whatever it was, whatever we were assigned to do. And then we were like deep cleaning all day Saturday. So it was kind of like you worked all week and then your weekend was for cleaning the house, going to church on Sunday morning. And I don't want that for my girls. They go to school all week. They dance 4 nights a week. I want our weekends to be about family time. I want our weekends to be about trying new breakfast spots and trying out new restaurants and going for hikes, maybe trying and find new ice cream shops whenever we feel like it. I want them to recognize that time and what you do with it is a choice. So we clean up all week. We make sure that the kitchen's clean all the time. We do the dishes every day. We do laundry every day. I work from home, so I do have the benefit of like running and switching the laundry, but they keep their rooms clean. Mostly, guys, mostly they keep their rooms clean. But that is something that's expected every day so that they have freedom of time when they don't have a school or dance obligation, right? I don't want to teach them that the weekends are for responsibilities after your other responsibilities from the week are over. We're not doing that. Saturdays are for sleeping in, eating breakfast whenever you feel like it, and then choosing whatever the heck we want to get into. I love that for us. Another thing that I don't talk about with them ever is, or I never say, like, go cry in your room. I don't want them to feel that having emotions is negative. I don't want them to feel that having emotions is something that you only release in private. And listen, that's a lesson that I learned later because I'll tell you, I made that mistake in the beginning. If Jaden would have like really big feelings when she was little, I would send her to her room. And damn it, what I taught her was that I couldn't tolerate her feelings. What I taught her was that my feelings, my need for quiet, my need for her to be happy all the time was more important than what she felt in the moment. What I taught her was that I couldn't handle being there for her. And I taught her that her feelings were an annoyance. I taught her that her feelings were something that she should hold on to in private. And eventually I taught her that when she had big feelings, she had to just shut them down so that she wouldn't be sent to her room. And it was through learning for myself, why, Evelyn, why at this big old age do you struggle to cry? Why do you have such a hard time showing what you feel? Why do you always feel like you have to keep it together and not show people when you're actually falling apart? Like, shit, the revelation of I grew up feeling like having feelings was an annoyance. Having feeling was a burden. Like if I wasn't happy, then I was a problem. And I made that mistake with them, but also I'm really grateful to be able to course correct. I mean, I can now sit and have a conversation with my girls and say, I'm sorry that, when you were small, I sent you to your room when you were crying. And I literally had a conversation with Jada when I said, when you were little, I sent you to your room to cry. And I recognize that now, when I ask you what you're feeling and you can't tell me, it's because you really don't know. And I take responsibility for my role in that. But now I want to help you work through that instead. I don't want you to go to your room and be upset by yourself. I want you to know that whatever you feel is valid, whenever you feel it is valid, wherever you want to feel it is valid. And I want to help you work through it or just hold space for you while you work through it yourself. So that whole go cry in your room, nobody wants to see that. That's not the narrative in our home anymore. A part of me feels regret for having taught them that lesson initially. And then the bigger part of me feels grateful that I'm aware of it, that I'm open to it, and I'm doing things to change it. And I am really proud of being able to voice my mistakes and that they give me the grace to course correct. Because when I explain that correlation to Jaden, this is how I reacted when you cried when you were little, and this is what I feel like it taught you. She understood, wow, that is why I get really quiet first instead of just saying what I'm feeling, right? So then we course correct together. So I feel like that's another big thing that is important to me is that I get to apologize often. I apologize often because I don't always get things right. I don't always do things right. I just, I'm learning, damn it. We're all learning, right? We spent our childhood learning, and then now at this later stage in life, it's a whole different type of learning. Mostly it is unlearning. It is recognizing that some of the things I went through, I did not have to go through. It is recognizing that some of the lessons I was taught were more about making me complacent, making me be the good girl that everybody could accept and tolerate, and never really about making me connect to me, right? So when I'm unlearning all that shit, I get to teach my daughters a new lesson. And that starts with me apologizing first. I have to own my mistake. I have to accept responsibility for what I did. And then I need to course correct and be intentional about doing better. And that not only teaches them that I am human and I make mistakes, but that also teaches them to accept responsibility when they make mistakes and then take accountability and course correct. So the unlearning and the relearning is not just for me, it's for all of us, which is another piece that I'm learning too is I do not stress them about their grades at school. I do not have that rule of you're fully capable of getting straight A's, therefore you better not come home with anything less than that. I do not have that joking judgment of you got an 86, did you even try? Or you got a 92, seriously? I know you can do better than that. There is none of that. There is none of that here. And let me tell you, both girls are motivated. Both girls are incredibly intelligent and they absorb information. Like it blows my mind to sit and have conversations with them because they really do exhibit a level of mental and emotional maturity that's far superior to a lot of adults that I know. They blow my mind. That being said, they are both straight A students. They both test very well. They both have really high GPAs, and I don't care, right? I care about who they are. I care about how they treat other people. I care about how they demand to be treated as well. I care that they are a good friend to their classmates. I don't believe that forcing my kid to go to school and be a robot and perform whatever it is, whatever for the academic accolades. I don't believe that that's going to determine the rest of their lives, right? There's just way too much pressure. People put way too much pressure on their kids to have straight A's and to excel in every sport. And they don't teach them enough about being human beings who are living through very human experiences. Just like that whole thinking that people used to have, or I know a lot of people still do, where they say, I don't send you to school so that you can make friends. School is not for friendship. School is for learning. And and I beg to differ, y'all. School, yeah, there's some academic stuff there. Of course. Duh, right? The majority of it is not really going to impact their future in the way that you think it will. But their interactions with other people will. Their ability to accept others that don't look like them is huge. Their abilities to collaborate with kids that think differently and were raised differently, like the things that they learn about society and acceptance and tolerance and community and friendship and vulnerability and togetherness and collaboration, like all of the things that we need as adults, they have the opportunities to learn at school. If we stop stressing them about grades being the only priority. I get it. You want your kids to go to college. You want them to gain life experiences. You want them to you want them to have a better opportunity than you did, right? I feel that. And I want that too, but I think we dropped the ball, guys. We dropped the ball when we push them for academic excellence and we don't teach them to gain wisdom with their knowledge. Spewing off facts is one thing. Taking what you learn and use it to implement in your life and learn to be a better person, that's what education is for. Education is not for memorization and bullshit. Education is to help you take the knowledge that you have and use it to have wisdom to lead a life that you are proud of. That's where we drop the ball. So, do I want my kids to do well in school? Yeah, sure. I want them to be able to pave their future however they see fit. But having straight A's is not going to determine who they become, not in my eyes. So, on that note, I definitely share my experiences with them. I share about the stress I felt to perform academically. I share about how friendships were not entirely celebrated in my upbringing. It was more about academics. It was about performance. It was about being seen as a good, hardworking person instead of just being seen as a good person, right? I share those things and I share the lessons that I learned to just help them see a different perspective and to help them see that everything that they're going through, they're not alone, right? So I think sharing is a big deal because they don't just see you as an authority. I don't want my girls looking at me as the authority, the person they have to fear. Like, I'm not running my house like a dictatorship. They are human beings and they are going through very real human experiences, even if I don't see them as a big deal to me, right? Like, as adults, we can see the big picture and we can see that something that they're going through right now might not have a huge impact in the future. So sometimes we kind of like dismiss what they're going through. That's not a big deal. That's not going to matter in 10 years, but it matters now. Like it matters now. So sit with them and let them feel what they're feeling. Because let me tell you something, if you dismiss them today, in 10 years, when shit hits the fan and things really are big, they are not coming to you. They're going to feel judged. They're going to feel dismissed. They're going to feel like you are not the one. You are not the one because you are not open to hearing what they're going through. So to be open because I want them to understand that there is nothing in this world that they can go through or that they can do that could make me turn away from making sure that they're okay in their way, right? Like I need them to live their lives knowing that I trust them and I need them to trust themselves. I need them to know that they can make decisions for themselves. And when they make a decision that does not work out the way that they expected it to, I need them to know that I'm not here judging what they did, what they said, or what they felt. I'm here to help them work through their next step because after all, it is their life, right? On that note, I do not really give advice. Like when they come to me and ask questions about things, I never just say, well, this is what I would do, or you need to do X, Y, and Z. I ask questions first. What do you think you should do? What's the worst case scenario? If you did X, Y, and Z, what do you think would happen? Is that worse than X, Y, and Z, right? Like talk it out with them, get to the depth of it, get to the foundation of what they're actually feeling so that they can work it out themselves. And when they come to a decision, if they want to ask me further, then maybe I'll share what I would do. But otherwise, it's not about me, it's about them. And that's another thing is I don't just tell them I'm proud of them. And I know that sounds kind of mean because we all want to be like, I'm so proud of you, right? Like, think about it, even when they're little, they take their first step, you get all excited and you're like, I'm so proud of you. Look at you, you took a step. What a big girl, whatever it is that comes out of your mouth. And you are proud of them, right? But we don't realize that we make our kids dependent on outside sources to make them feel good. We make them need to hear, I'm proud of you, in order for them to feel good about themselves. So when they don't get an I'm proud of you, well, then they feel like shit. And then they feel like they're questioning themselves. And then they feel a little bit limited. So am I proud of them? 100%. Do I tell them I'm proud? After I ask them how they feel. Yes. So conversations in our house are a little bit different. If the girls did something that I think is amazing, and yes, while I'm beaming and bursting from the inside, my first question is, wow, how do you feel? How did that make you feel? What were you thinking? What was going through your head? Are you proud of yourself? And then I'll say, I am so proud of you, right? I need them to connect with what they're feeling first. And I need the pride that I feel to be secondary. I never want, what is mommy going to say, to be the first thing that comes into their mind. I want their first thought to be, how do I feel? How can I work this out? What can I do? Or, damn it, I'm so proud of myself. I can't believe I did that. I am so proud of myself. I can't wait to share this with mommy. I can't wait to tell mommy after, but I want them to feel it for themselves first. And the very last thing that I will say that I feel like I do differently is I ask them to give me grace, guys. I know that I make mistakes. I know that I will continue to make mistakes. And I tell them all the time that the things they're going through for the first time, I'm going through for the first time with them. So if I get it wrong, if I guide them wrong, give me grace and tell me, right? Like the space is open. I'm open. I can receive criticism, right? You are open. You have permission to tell me when I'm wrong. You have permission to sit down with me and say, Mommy, when you did X, Y, and Z, it hurt me, or it upset me, or I felt whatever it is that I felt. Please do that because I cannot grow if I don't know. You cannot expect me to change something that I am unaware of. So, on that note, we as the adults have to be open to hearing what they're saying, not just when it's good. And listen, of course, there's ways to handle it, right? Like, I'm not going to have somebody yelling at me and screaming at me, but if you want to calm yourself and talk to me, let's talk. And I get it. Sometimes you're frustrated. Maybe you're saying something out of anger. I'm going to need you to pause. I'm going to need you to pause and we'll talk in a minute. And then I'm open, guys. I need them to show me grace. I show them grace. And when I'm sharing my experiences, I explain to them the same thing I talked about here. I have to show grace to my parents as well. I share my experiences. I talk about things that may have hurt me. And I always remind them that my parents loved me the absolute best way that they could. And even though some things hurt me, it doesn't make me question their love for me. It just makes me see them as human beings. And the more I learn to have compassion for myself, the more I have compassion for my parents, the more I see them as human beings who are just having a human experience. The more I see that Their thoughts and beliefs came from their parents, who also did not really have the luxury of healing, right? Not everybody, not everybody is raised in an environment that supports mental and emotional growth. Some people legit are living just to survive, and we have to respect that. So I know that my parents loved me the best that they could. I know that they love me today. And I also know that some things hurt me. And it's my job to address those things for myself. Just like my daughters will someday address the things that I've done wrong, whatever those things may be. And I pray that they are comfortable enough to sit and talk to me about it. Yeah. So again, I'm just reiterating, we're in a season of, and we're not focusing on what should have been, what could have been. We're breaking cycles. And if we're breaking cycles, that means focusing on awareness. That means figuring out what things made you feel in real time. When you got sent to your room and you were having a fit and all you needed to, you wanted to get hugged and you got sent to your room, how did that make you feel? When your parents did something and you tried to talk to them about it and they shut you down and told you were disrespectful, how did that make you feel? When you had a different opinion than somebody in school and somebody told you it was disrespectful to question what you were told, how did that make you feel, right? Like all the things that we've gone through made us feel something. And if you can connect to those feelings, that's when you start to recognize how you can change the way your kids are going to be made to feel. And it doesn't have to be huge, major revelations. It can be something small, like, now we're not going to spend all day Saturday cleaning. I want to live life, right? You get to make decisions that way. So we're living in the season of and, right? Two things can be true at the same time, even if they seem to oppose each other. It is and. I love my children desperately, and I make mistakes. I want them to succeed, and I'm going to do things that hurt me. I do a lot of deep healing inner work, and I still have so much more to learn. I I see them as individuals with their own souls and their own purpose and their own journey. And I still need grace for when I make mistakes. So on that note, we're going to give ourselves grace. We're going to break the damn cycles by being aware, being open, and being intentional. And I want to thank you today for joining me and tuning into another episode of Minding Mine. If this episode resonated with you, please remember to comment, rate, and review. Your feedback means the world to me. And until next time, I want you to go live your life on your terms, and please mind your business. We'll catch you in the next episode.